Perfect.
You make it so simple, Diane, and it's so incredibly complicated that I'm agog. You know, first of all, 17-year-olds at that intersection, that's one thing. If you statistically go back to which part is the most dangerous drivers with the most fatalities, it's men between 30 and 45 with a wife and 2 kids in the car. So, you know, take that intersection and take the kids out and put the families in and see if you get the same kind of thing. This is, in my day job, I get to go to a thing called the Council of Mayors. And we talk about transportation issues, and they talk about transportation issues, and I would encourage Mr. Karpolsky to provide each of the transportation committee members with the IDOT letting sheet, because it tells you every intersection that's going to be worked on, all the work that's going to happen, what stage they are in the happenings, so that if there are any questions, you can get that and you can come back to them. The fact that you don't get it until the end doesn't mean that it hasn't been vetted. It's been going on for a very long period of time, and they let you know. And sometimes things that you planned on doing in 2012 get put off till 14, or excuse me, it gets pushed up on the schedule because it's far more important. But that's information that's given to us, not information that we have a whole bunch of control over. But that, I think, would be very helpful to the Transportation Committee to let you know what's happening. And if this is a fairly dangerous intersection according to IDOT and in there, then perhaps some people are too close to the situation to see it, and we have to be cognizant of the whole area. Thompson Road and 120. I mean, there are a lot of places where I think we should. The last person I heard of, to make this very short, who talked was on Walk Up. And that was Vicki. She came to every single transportation meeting, and she talked about it for years before it happened. Veronica, I'm sorry. Veronica, starts with a V. Armstrong, got the last name. Okay, but she came for a number of years before people were able to look at it and say, yeah, that's true. And now we've got stoplights coming all over the place, and it's slowing down traffic, and then we get upset about that as well. So we really have to be very careful, and I trust the Transportation Committee on what it is they've done. And you know, you always let me be the last one because you know what I'm going to say next. No? Okay. Keep going.
Ms. Bergenschmidt, please.
Yes, well, I will be voting in support of this, and for the plain and simple reason that on my way here this morning, I drove up Fleming Road to 120, and I made that left turn. And it was crystal clear to me that for public safety, there needs to be a light there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Young.
Yeah, if we're paying close to $200,000 for our portion of this Fleming Road, so we have to widen it at 120. Is there any, because of that, is there any input that we can give to the state and go back to them and say, you designed Fleming Road, does it need to have such a big footprint at the intersection of 120 and Fleming Road? Or can it be reduced? Is there something we can do? Or because it's a state project, it doesn't matter if it's our money, we can't tell them anything about it?
I think that's been previously addressed, but we can go back if it's the committee's desire to do that and minimize it. But again, it is an IDOT project with this, and they've done that. They've based their plans on current standards. They negotiated the right-of-way. The right-of-way has been bought on here. We've gone. I think that it's been already. Yes, sir.
Mr. Merkel.
I guess being a resident old-timer here, I've had plenty of experience driving on that road. You talked about teenage drivers. Started driving that road when I first got my license at Marion Central. So I've had quite a bit of experience there. There have been several warrants. I'm sure Joe can go back and check with IDOT over the years. If you think the intersection's bad now, imagine it without that dedicated left turn lane going westbound. That used to just be a flat 2-lane road with just that intersection coming out there. I don't think it had the approach that it has now. That intersection has been terrible. It's just as bad as some of the intersections we have on 47, 31, 170. So you can go right down the list. We are way behind in this county on getting those intersection improvements. You travel Lake County, Kane County, other areas, you can see some of the things that have been done there. This is long, long overdue. It's a public safety issue. It has terrible sight lines from Fleming. It's on a curve. It's a high-speed curve under good conditions. It is bad. I remember last year I was on my way to a county board meeting or committee meeting. All the snowfall we had last year. Kids are trying to get out there to school. I know there's a lot of traffic going to Marion. 6, 8 cars parked there. I'm upset because I'm going to be late. This is going to take forever. These people will pull out with the snow on the ground under terrible conditions to try and pull out in front of this ongoing traffic. And I sat there and watched cars pulling out, and I'm just shaking my head waiting for somebody to get in. It's terrible. It needs to be fixed. Public safety is number one. If IDOT needs the room to get the proper and safe approaches, get the drainage in there, let them do it. It needs to be fixed. Again, public safety. You know, let's talk about accidents. Well, there haven't been any big, you know, maybe we've been lucky. If we can make these improvements and get that safe intersection put in there, maybe we can save some future fatalities. In the same situation, you mentioned Thompson Road on 120, Wonder Lake Road on 120. Those were terrible intersections with no turning lanes, 2 lanes each way. It took forever to get those done, way too late. You also have an intersection improvement with stoplights over by Marion Central at Raffle Road. Not a high traffic area on Raffle Road when that was done. Look at the development that's gone in there with another school down the street that needed to be done. It's on a curve, terrible intersection. Get it done. You need room on Fleming. You need drainage improvements. Let IDOT do it. IDOT has a formula. I've dealt with IDOT for many, many years on other projects. They dictate access areas. They dictate how many access areas you have. They have a formula. If you're going to put an intersection in there, what your cost share is, whether you're a county, a school district, state, developers, all the big developments that have gone in this county over the years. The state of Illinois is not paying for all those new traffic lights, all the road widening, all the turning lanes. That's the land developer and the developer is paying to have those done. The cost-sharing formula that IDOT has instituted. They're not asking us to do any more than they've asked everybody else or we've been asked to do before, correct, Joe? So look at this thing that they're holding a gun to our heads. They have design criteria. I think we should get out of their way, let them get it done, make that intersection as safe as possible, as soon as possible. It's a terrible intersection and it is way overdue.
Thank you, Pete. Ms. Kurtz, please.
Yeah, thank you. We've heard a lot of anecdotal information about the unsafeness of this particular intersection. And I mean, let's be honest, every intersection in the world would be safer if it had a traffic light. And the problem is that we live in a place that doesn't have any money, and we're putting $1 million, and of it, about 20% of it, McHenry County is putting in. And in addition, we're also signing up as taxpayers for the infrastructure costs for this, compounded with the fact that the residents, at least a number of them are in the audience right now, they drive it more than we do, and they are against this. So I think the discussion is worthy of our looking at both sides of it. So given that, again, I've heard